Hey horror fans, Bored Now back with you. On this video, I'm going to be talking about a 2022 Spanish movie called The Coffee Table. I think it's a Shudder original, or at least it's available on Shudder if not. Full spoilers from the start of this review as always. Happy October once again. It is day 22, and good news is I'm on course at the moment to finally do the 31 days of horror thingy. So that's cool. This is a first time watch for me. So the setup to the movie is then a couple who have recently had their first child buy a new coffee table. The man in particular is interested in buying a coffee table, and it causes a little bit of friction in the relationship. They buy it from this random guy who the wife is a bit sussed about. He's acting a little bit like creepy, but the husband wants to buy it, so they buy it, and from then on it seems like it's a bit of a cursed coffee table. So it's one of those, the guy has an accident, injures himself on it, and all sorts of bad luck seems to occur from that. And it brings up tension around the family when the brother is coming over with his girlfriend, all the rest of it. And there's a really dark secret which the husband is keeping. So that's the basic setup for the movie. It doesn't really tell you in the movie whether there's something supernatural going on with the coffee table, if it's cursed, or if the salesman has something to do with it. It doesn't really let you in on that. It kind of leaves that open for you. I think the way it plays out is you've just got all these random spooky events which don't seem to have a reason. Like, it could just be like one big coincidence and what happens. But definitely the film goes to extreme places and does get very dark by the end of the movie. But for a lot of it is sort of like a black comedy. Like, there's quite a lot of funny lines. There's sort of a messed up, twisted humour to it. I did enjoy the wife, like, when they're buying the coffee table, her saying, you know, you're not just a bad salesman, you're an asshole. That was a funny line, and there's a few like that. But yeah, it definitely has this dark, weird sort of humour, which you either get on board with or you don't. I did get on board with it. I enjoyed it. It seemed to work for me because there's this weird thing near the beginning where you've got a 13-year-old girl who's like a neighbour, and she has a crush on the guy. The guy's name is Jesus. And they're just having this really long conversation at the door where she's like, you feel the same for me as well. Like, why don't you be honest and tell your wife, leave her, come away with me? And I think it's just a really funny scene because he continues the conversation. Like, every time she brings something up, he'll counter it and say, well, I only liked one of your Instagram post, and he explains what it was. And there's a thing where she's saying about, you encourage me with poetry, with romantic poetry, and he says, well, again, that was just because you wanted to be recommended for this. It was like a course or a collection or something like that, and the story or the poem happened to be romantic. I didn't do it because, like, hey, I'm into you. And so I think because of that, because he keeps having to justify himself in these ways, I think it's funny. And it's funny because you know that there's not a thing there. Like, he's not a paedophile, basically. So there was just something funny about that scene, like the way how he was trying to talk her down. He was trying to be like the nice, responsible adult who didn't crush this girl's feelings, but at the same time it was sort of funny the places it was going to, where he kept having to explain certain things which out of context could look pretty like seedy. And there's a bit of a link there also, because there's this throwaway line from the wife about how, oh great, your brother's coming over, your pedo brother with his, like, she says 18-year-old. I think when you see the girl later, she's clearly older. She looked older than 18. She was young and quite a bit younger than the brother, but like there's throwaway line about that. So that's sort of funny because she's like making a thing about that, and then you've got the stuff with this 13-year-old girl fancying Jesus. So I think the film is quite good with that, with just like social tension and the tension of like a family member come, because the wife really doesn't like the brother, like she can't really stand him, and like clearly has a problem then he's with this much younger woman. So like I think it does that stuff quite well. And when they're over, and at that point we're in like the full kind of horror stuff of like the guy Jesus has like injured himself on the coffee table. He's trying to cover things up, and there's this really dark turn of events with the child, which I won't give away actually, because if you haven't seen it, I'll leave that sort of spoiler free for you. But that has already happened, and I think that gets revealed quite late in the film. Like, I don't think that's revealed straight away, like after the incident. Like, they slowly bring that out, which was quite well done. But yeah, just him constantly trying to cover things up, and yeah, it just gets this awkward sort of vibe very well, because there's a scene where the wife bumps into someone in the supermarket, someone they haven't seen for years. I'm guessing she was a sister, maybe, of the husband. Either that or someone he used to know, because it's the first time she's bumped into the wife since they've had the kid, and she calls the husband on the wife's phone, and it's just after he's like injured himself, and for ages he's traumatized, so he doesn't really want to speak to someone on the phone. So again, you've got that sort of darkly comic thing of this really cheery person on the other end of the phone, and he's just not ready to like take the call. And so a lot of that stuff is like really well handled and like edge of your seat type stuff. The acting is strong. Probably the film gets a bit repetitive at times. Like, I think sometimes they'll linger on something a bit too much, or like there'll be a couple of scenes where something gets a bit repetitive, where they're just repeating a shot or coming back to okay, we've seen him do this a couple of different times, you can move on. Probably that's like my main nitpick with the film, but overall, I think it's a really strong movie and really enjoyable, and probably one that you either drive with or you don't. Like, I'm surprised it ends up as dark as it does, just because for a lot of the movie I sort of saw it as more of like a black type comedy. And you do get another appearance from the salesman. Like, he shows up at one point because he wants to check in and like offers up, he wants to get details or something, and again, this is the guy trying to cover it up, and they run through all these different scenarios where he's trying to keep this a secret but also clean up the mess. So it's pretty tense and quite a lot of fun to work. But as I said, just because I got into the black humour of it, and I did quite like that it was left a little bit open to exactly if it was supernatural or not. But that's The Coffee Table. I enjoyed it for the most part. I'll give it 7 out of 10. If you've seen it, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Share me out on social media. You can support the channel at patreon.com/borednow for a bunch of extra perks, some early access to things, some exclusive clips not seen on YouTube, TV and movie commentaries, or you can become a channel member at 3 different tiers. And a free and easy way to help out the channel is the hype button. So just hit the hype button and it'll get me out to extra people. It's meant to be good for smaller channels. But thanks for listening. Again, let me know what you think of the coffee table in the comments, and also let me know what you've been watching in October, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.